Okay, here goes with part 2 of YouTubers who are shit. Now, that's the thumbnail. The actual title was YouTubers who are retards, part 1. So here goes with part 2. Now, in part 1, it was specifically addressing the notion of Lewis Hamilton not being able to pit at Abu Dhabi 2021 and return to track ahead of Max Verstappen had Red Bull not pitted Verstappen. Then, as of should have happened, the race would have ended behind the safety car. Mercedes would have then thrown away the lead of that race and thrown away the championship. Now, that is demonstrated in part 1. The reason I made part 1 was because we've got a YouTuber now that has entered the fray to tell us their valuable insights about Formula One, and they're making videos which are harmful to people's understanding. This is a problem. Why it's a problem is people often go in search of insight for information by looking at videos on the internet, by looking at videos on YouTube. And so they might stumble across this video, and this video might give them information that thick people, retarded people, don't know how to understand it for themselves. They don't know how to understand the validity of something. But because what is being presented in this video that this YouTuber has done matches their desires, and it seems to make sense to them the way things are described, then they'll use this as validation of that belief. And this is harmful. Now, this is entirely the construct of our lives. People can be fed information, that information be completely invalid, but as long as that is believable, people believe it to be true. As long as it fits with their own ideals, their own understanding, no matter how limited that understanding is, people will believe it and they'll use it to bolster their belief. And that's a problem. Now, one of the real problems is that particular YouTuber didn't see the video I made 3 years ago, which goes through exactly the same thing. So you can go to my videos, you can order them to the oldest video. You'll see the first video I ever did, and then the second video I ever did, proof that Mercedes got it right. But it's only had 3,500 views. Now, here's the problem. They tell us that Abu Dhabi 2021 was seen by a global audience of 108.7 million people. 1% of that is just over 1 million people. A tenth of 1% of that is 100,000 people. A hundredth of 1% of that is 10,000 people. So mine's half of that. Mine's 1/200th of 1% of people have viewed my video. That's the problem. The problem is that the truth is suppressed. People do not get to see the truth. What they get is what mainstream media present them with, the potential arguments, and then people argue and they don't understand. And what they get then is people that then think they know something about it and then want to present their valuable insight to the world, and all they're doing, they're harming people's understanding. So I'm going to go through that video right now and I'm going to show you. So this particular YouTuber, DRS enabled, uses a AI voice, female AI voice. So let's have a listen to what this Turkish bird has got to say, and we'll play it through. Here we go.
The effort to take the Abu Dhabi story outside the generally accepted narrative is what pushed me to create this.
So they're claiming they're taking the analysis outside of the generally accepted narrative. Good. Good. You should be doing that. Have you got the capability of doing that?
This video. I know full well that if the roles were reversed between Lewis and Max, the teams and fans would be saying the exact opposite of what they are saying now. I don't aim to change.
You know full well, do you, that if the roles were reversed, the sets of fans would be saying the opposite. Is that what you know, is it? No, that's your projection. Okay? The sets of fans are different. And you can't categorise people as being a set of fans. Because of those people who support Max Verstappen, there will be the fanboys, the lunatic fanatics, and those who get off on trolling, and there'll be some just decent people. Just some decent people that just go, I quite like him. He comes from the same country as me, and therefore I'll support him being my fellow countryman. I have my motives to support him, fine. And likewise with Lewis Hamilton, there'll be the fanatics that won't see anything other than that's it there. Sorry, he's their favourite. But there'll be others that respect Lewis for the things, and there'll be others that just recognise ability, and there'll be people that just stand for integrity. So you don't know full well anything, all right? You know nothing, so don't project that.
Fans would be saying the exact that if the roles accepted narrative is what pushed me to create this video. I know full well that if the roles were reversed between Lewis and Max, the teams and fans would be saying the exact opposite of.
See, you don't know anything, so don't project that. And you're then using a clip of what? Scrolling on Instagram. What a sad world we live in. Mindless. And this is the mindless world. And so you're doing a video, but you realise in order to make a video engaging, you have to keep changing the image to capture people's attention. Otherwise, people move on already. They can't just sit and listen. No, we have to keep flashing a different image to keep them engaged because we've all got attention deficit syndrome. Is it? Is that what it is?
What they are saying now. I don't aim to change anyone's mind after this event.
Yay, let's scroll together and let's like that. Yay. You don't attempt to change anyone's mind.
Opposite of what they are saying now. I don't aim to change anyone's mind after this event. I am making this video for those who might wonder in the future what actually happened in this race.
So you're making this video to educate people about what was really going on here. Well, you fucking failed miserably. So let's go through it.
Or for those looking back at history. First,
History is written by the winner. And the thing is, this is again, it's a fine example, isn't it? Your version of the history is entirely wrong. So if somebody's looking at this to try and learn about history, they're getting a completely wrong impression about what really happened, aren't they? And this is the damaging impact of this.
let's look at the start. While everyone around him started on soft tires, Lewis's launch on the medium compound was tremendous, and his reflexes were far superior to Max's. Then came turn 6. No one expected Max to make a move there.
Nobody expected. Now look at this. Look at the image you see there. What are the rules for engagement for overtaking? Well, evidently from the description you're about to give, you don't know. And the reason you don't know is because you've been misinformed, disinformed. By design, by those who inform you about the show on the mainstream contracted media. Look at this situation you see. The car in front has got, which is Lewis Hamilton there, has got the right to the corner. The car that's behind has to earn the right to be afforded track room to challenge for position around the corner. They don't explain that to you, okay? Because what they don't want you to do is have too much understanding so that you can make an analysis for yourself. They just want to keep you excited and clapping. Yay, that's exciting, isn't it? But you don't understand the mechanics of it. The reason being is this: if you look at the car in front, the racing line for the track here, for the circuit, for this particular corner, is by keeping wide on entry, sweeping across to what we call the apex of the corner, this curbing here, and the midpoint of the corner, kissing that, and then that takes you across the track out to the outside of the track on exit. In actual fact, because this is a chicane, you don't go fully out to the outside of the track on exit. What you aim to do is only end up in the middle of the track, so that it then allows you to take a wide line in to the second part of the chicane. That is the fastest way through there. Now, Lewis Hamilton knows that. All the other drivers know that that's the line to take. Max knows that that's the line to take, because you see them when they're not challenging anybody, that's the line that they take. When you take that line, there is no room for a car on your inside. So, are you entitled to that line, or have you got to leave space for somebody else? Well, that entitlement is determined in the braking zone of the corner, for the corner. In that braking zone, you have to decelerate your car to an appropriate speed to take the appropriate line. If you try to do what I've just described about this line around here too fast, your car will not stay on that line when you go around the corner. If you try and take any corner too fast, then your car will depart the track. Okay, you will go off the track, or you will go into barriers. So if you try to do it too fast, there's going to be catastrophe. So what you want to do is take the optimum, the maximum speed that you can carry through that corner, because you're racing and you're trying to do this as quickly as possible. That is the speed you can take that line at. If that line is different, the speed is different. So if you cannot take that racing line, your speed has to change, because you can only maintain a certain speed on a certain line. That speed, you are decelerating your car to the appropriate speed in the braking zone. So it's the braking zone that you have to assess what line are you entitled to, therefore what braking force must I apply to decelerate my car to the appropriate speed to make it around that corner on that line. If you have to leave space on the inside for a car that is entitled to be left room on the inside, you have to stay wide. If you're on the outside, you're staying wide on entry, but you can't sweep across to the curbing on the inside, because you've got to leave width for a car to be there. And so you're taking a wider line in, which means you can't take this sweeping line and cut straight across. You have to take a wider curve. In order to stay on the track, you've got to have a different speed. You've got to brake differently. But likewise, this car on the inside, if it's earned that right, and it earns that right by being at least halfway alongside the car that it's challenging on the inside, on braking at that corner, if it's earned that right, what it has to do on exit of that corner is leave room on its outside for that car that's on its outside that it's challenging. It can't just leave no room for it and force it off the track. That's called crowding off the track. These are the rules of engagement. Nobody's told you about them, because they've enabled Max Verstappen rules. Everybody just excite the kiddies. This guy just chucks his car everywhere. It's not allowed, it's illegal, but it excites the children. But they don't tell you that. But you're going to share your valuable insight.
Even if he did attack, it was thought that it wouldn't be legal.
It was thought that it wouldn't be legal. Well, why? Okay, can you talk us through why it was thought that even if Max did attack, that it wouldn't be legal? Well, that's because he's not made it halfway alongside at the braking zone, and therefore he's not entitled to be afforded track room, and yet he's still chucked his car. That's illegal. Yeah. Yeah, he's put in a dive bomb, and what he's done by dive bombing, he's carried too much speed into the corner and cannot control his car to leave a car's width on exit of that corner. That's called crowding somebody off the track. So that's illegal, not just thought to be illegal.
Lewis thought the same, which is why he left
Lewis thought the same. Yeah, because he's making his assessment here. I'm entitled to this corner. The other guy has not reached a point where it's achieved the right. So yes, it's my entitlement. It's my corner.
the left side wide open. Lewis thought the same, which is why he left the left side wide open.
It's not leaving a side wide open. It is being on the racing line, knowing that the other car has no right to throw itself up the inside. You don't take a defensive line if the other car is not capable or not allowed, not eligible to make an attack.
But Max went for it. It was an aggressive and successful.
Aggressive. See, aggressive. Okay. This is a non-contact sport. Do you understand that Formula One is a non-contact sport? A contact sport is something like rugby, okay, where you actually can grab your opponent. The idea is that to tackle somebody, what you do, you actually physically grab them and hold them, okay, and tackle them to the ground. That's making contact with your opponent. Football is classified as a non-contact sport because if you kick your opponent, that is classified as a foul. Now, what you actually do, you understand that there is sometimes contact between players, and that is seen as being acceptable, providing it is in the course of play. So, where does this notion of aggression come from? Oh, it's aggressive. It's a non-contact sport. We accept that sometimes these cars do touch, but you can't just go, oh, I'm going to drive my car at yours and be willing to hit you. No, that's not, no, 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 no. But you like the word aggression, don't you? Kiddies like aggression, aggression. We like Max because he's aggressive. No, no, you see, again, you just don't understand. You don't understand what this is about. You think it's elbows out, you think it's argy bargy, because that's what you've been told by these bullshit commentators, because they like exciting the kiddies. Okay, the rules don't apply to the billionaire class, okay? They think elbows out, argy bargy, being aggressive, the kind of, raping and stuff that they do on Epstein's Island. They think that that's just okay. Tell everybody that that's okay.
Pass. Max overtook Hamilton, but because Lewis cut the chicane, a comical decision came.
Because Lewis cut the chicane. So what's happening here? Has Max left a car's width on exit of that corner? No, he's not, has he? So he's sent his car in too fast that he's ended up here. There's no room for a car on his outside. Had Lewis have attempted to stay on his outside, bearing in mind Lewis has taken evasive action, he's had to slow down far more than he otherwise would have done. He's had to now deviate his line significantly. Had he not have done that and just stayed on here, there would undoubtedly been a collision. Who would have caused that collision? The car in front causing a collision? No, it's the responsibility of the car behind. Lewis was entitled to be on that line and would have ended up around here. He saw a car coming and he took evasive action. The car that was behind was in the wrong. That's how it works. The car that was behind chucked his car there. And it was the genius of the car in front that got himself out of the way so that the collision didn't occur. Now, having evaded that collision, you're now in a situation where you've got this curbing here. Some of it might be raised as you go into the corner. Lewis has had his car damaged at various corners where he's been forced off the track onto curbing, and that's damaged his car. He didn't want to have his chances at this World Championship damaged as a result of somebody committing an infringement on him. The natural way of the track is now that it turns right as we go out of screen there and comes back down here. Lewis needs to rejoin that track, not at 90 degrees to the track, but blending into the flow of traffic. Otherwise, he rejoins the track in an unsafe manner. Very similar to how Max rejoined the track at Saudi 2021, forcing Lewis to once again have to take evasive action, losing position to Esteban Ocon. Yeah, that. So Lewis has done exactly the correct thing, having had to jump out of the way, having been crowded off the track, which should have resulted in at least a 5-second penalty for Max Verstappen, in the same way that Norris was given a 5-second penalty for doing similar to Perez at Austria 2021, as Perez was given 5-second penalties, 2 of them for doing the same to Charles Leclerc at the same Austria 2021 Grand Prix. But no, it's Max Verstappen rules, everybody. So, what's going on there? He's got to give that. No, he hasn't. The perpetrator is Max Verstappen. The penalty should be given to Max Verstappen. And yet the cries from commentary for 8 laps are then Lewis has to give that place back. Lewis has to give that place back. What's going on there? Narrative.
Came from the stewards. They did not order Hamilton to give the lead back to Max. The chaos had already begun right there. Perhaps what happened in Brazil was being compensated for here.
Perhaps what happened in Brazil is being compensated for here. Because that's what you do in sport, isn't it? You know, when you're playing a game of football, let's say Turkey are playing Italy in a game of football, all right, and you think the Italian defender fouled your Turkish striker and you should have got a penalty and you didn't get a penalty, right? So in the next game, when Turkey are playing Germany, you think that you should get a penalty. Yeah? Give us a penalty. We should get a free shot at the goal so we get a free shot at scoring the goal because we should have got a penalty at Italy. The referee didn't give us a penalty there, so it's fine for us to give one here, even though we shouldn't have one here. That's what you do in sport, isn't it, you fucking dickhead?
Let's not forget that in 2021, the inconsistent decisions made by the race stewards were the most discussed topic. As the race progressed, Lewis began to pull away.
Yes, let's not forget in 2021 the decisions were the most discussed topic. Do you think that could be by design? Do you think that is by design? Because it was.
Max was losing.
This is the plaything of the billionaire. This is manipulation. This is something they own, they all profit from, and so they manipulate it to engage the crowd so that they make more money. They sell their product so that they profit out of it. And what they do, they modify their product so that it attracts more people to buy their product. There you go.
Time because he was on soft tires. Since
So let's just go through that again. Let's evaluate your understanding.
race stewards were the most discussed topic. As the race progressed, Lewis began to pull away. Max was losing time because he was on soft tires.
Max was losing time because he was on soft tyres. I thought the soft tyre was the fastest tyre. Yeah? Yeah, you know, he had the choice of what tyres to set his pole position time on. And he chose the softs. We're told they're the most grippy and therefore they're the ones that you can set the fastest times on. But you're now saying he's losing time because he's on the softs. Well, he's consistently lost time over every lap. Is that because he's on the softs? Surely there were some laps where they weren't worn out. They should have been faster. But he wasn't. So that's a poor explanation, isn't it? Now, over time, you would say, well, if these tyres are starting to wear out now, then we're now going to drop off the speed. Yeah, okay. But he's not losing time because of the compound tyre. He was losing time about half a second a lap for all of those first 12 or 13 laps.
Since Lewis was about a second per lap faster, Max pitted on lap 13.
Lewis was a second a lap faster on lap 13. Well, that would be a 13-second advantage then if he was a second a lap faster. That wasn't the advantage. It was 6 seconds, wasn't it? So you're talking bullshit again.
On the next lap, Mercedes made the safest play and brought Lewis into the pits.
The safest play. What makes it safe? The safest play. What's that? What's safe about bringing Lewis in? What, that you can make sure that you don't get undercut, that you can make sure that now that Max has changed tyres, he doesn't go back out onto track, is able to lap faster than you, close that gap down, which there's now 28 seconds. He was 6 seconds behind. He's now 28 seconds behind, having pitted. And so, if it takes you 22 seconds, if Max closes the gap down to 22 seconds or less, when you do pit yourself, then your 22-second loss is going to bring you out behind Max. Well, you've got a buffer, you've got a 6-second buffer to see how that happens. You don't need to immediately react. So, but Max is on soft compound tyres. They're worn out. Yours on medium compound tyres, they shouldn't be worn out. Nobody else's were. Everybody else was able to run to lap 20, 25 on their medium compound tyres. In terms of outright pace, Lewis achieved second on the grid on medium compound tyres. Not hard compound tyres, medium compound tyres. Therefore, that would indicate the faster tyre on Lewis's car is the medium compound tyre. Why would you take them off? Why would you take off the tyre that is clearly a tyre that you're fast on and put on hard compound tyres? You have still got life left in those tyres. His lap time was not dropping off, it was remaining consistent. We had not demonstrated that Max was now lapping faster on hard compound tyres than he was on the soft compound tyre. What's safe? You've got an advantage of being on medium compound tyres to Max's hard compound tyre. Now, yes, you have to factor in wear. What's faster, a brand new set of hards or a part-worn set of mediums? At what point in time does the wear on the mediums drop off to a point where their medium compounder tyre is less grippy and therefore has a lower performance than the hard compound tyre? Do you know? No, you don't, and neither do we. When you throw away that chance, where you throw away 10 laps at least of potential wear on those medium compound tyres, you throw away this 6-second advantage whereby that's your reaction time. You can assess your lap time relative to Max's time. You can see if there's a pattern that's evolving. If Max is continually lapping at a quicker pace than you, eroding that 6-second advantage, then you can react to that. During that time, though, that might not be happening. You might be actually gaining more time. You might be lapping faster than Max is able to lap on those hard compound tyres. You might be able to extend that margin that you had. During that time, there might be something such as a virtual safety car, enabling you to make your pit stop and not lose the 22 seconds because you are likely to only lose relative to those cars on track about 16 seconds as opposed to the normal 22 seconds you would lose relative to them. So that would actually give you a net gain of 6 seconds, increasing your advantage over Max Verstappen from the 6 seconds it was before the round of pit stops to 12 seconds after the round of pit stops. You've thrown away your chance of that even happening. It's not the safe option. It is a ridiculous option. It's a narrative. Now, here's the thing. Who else chose the safe option? We can go over here. We can go over to data view. And what we look at here is who else on the medium compound tyre stopped on lap 14. Well, we've got Bottas here, who went to about lap 30 in a Mercedes. He went twice as far on his mediums. We've got Tsunoda, who went to lap 22, 23, something like that. We've got Vettel, who's gone down to 23. We've got Stroll, who's gone to about lap 20. Even Nicholas Latifi got to about lap 25. And then we've got the retired cars here. Only Giovinazzi lasted to about lap 17. Russell, 26 laps. Raikkonen, about 20 laps. Why Hamilton's only 14? And Hamilton's supposed to be a tyre whisperer. Why have you thrown that advantage away? Why could Hamilton not extend to here, giving him a tyre advantage? Because if Max has then got to use his hard compound tyres for then what would have then been 44 laps, and Lewis has got to laps 25 on his, He's only got to use his for 33 laps. Much fresher, hard compound tyres, giving Hamilton yet more advantage. Why would you throw that away? Why would you describe that as a safer option? So you don't know, do you? Chatting shit, set yourself up to broadcast on the internet when you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
This was the safest move, but perhaps not the right one, because with his pace, Lewis could have stayed out and gone faster until Max's tires warmed up. Of course, no.
Not just until Max's tyres warmed up. We could have assessed things, we could have just, even if Max started to gain, wasn't a problem. Wasn't a problem. He was 6 seconds behind. You see how it goes for a few laps? That's 6 seconds behind. So you can firstly assess if Hamilton can extend that 6 second gap. And if he does, great. And then you can see if Max Verstappen is eroding that 6 second gap. And if he does, you can still monitor that. Oh, he's gaining on us at half a second a lap. Well, if at half a second a lap you leave him out there for another 6 laps, Max has gained 3 seconds on you. You've still got a 3 second margin. So you can still utilise 6 more laps of your medium tyres, meaning that your new tyres need to go 6 laps less. Meaning you can push harder on them because you've got to do less laps on them. Oh, we've only lost 3 seconds relative to him. Not a problem, but that 3 seconds is going to be more beneficial to us when we're on our newer set of tyres. Yeah, because we don't have to compromise so much on them, do we? See how it works? No, evidently you don't.
No one expected Perez, running on 20-lap-old softs.
Nobody expected Perez running on 20-lap-old hard softs. And you see, here's the problem. You see, if you're a starter medium, why would you throw them away when the softs didn't need to be thrown away? Why would you pit your driver so that they came out behind the second car in the team that you were rivaling, making you now have to pass him on track? You know that they're on tyres that should wear out before you. You know that your medium compound of tyres has the lifespan for you to keep going, and yet you've pitted Hamilton to put him behind Perez to create this drama on the track. That 9 second lead that then Hamilton had over Verstappen got eroded to less than 2 seconds as a result of this constructed drama. As a strategy, why would you choose to do that? Oh, it's because the entire thing was pre-scripted. Now, when I say pre-scripted, it doesn't mean that somebody wrote out word for word what was going to happen. But what they did, they put in a skeleton outline plan of we'll do this, and then we'll do that, and then we'll do that, and make it seem and sound authentic. That's how they script something, okay? Is they put in an outline plan of how they're going to do something. It's not a play that you've got to learn your lines. So that there is manufactured drama. That there is something that kept the kiddies excited all throughout this entire show, because that is what Abu Dhabi 2021 was, an entirely constructed show to engage this new global audience that they'd attracted due to it being a spectacle of, guess what, everybody? The Formula One season has been so exciting this year that the championship is going down to the last race of the season. This is worldwide. Everybody, you should tune into this and see what this is about, because this is unprecedented. You should watch this. This should be great. And the two championship rivals are level on points. This is a must watch. So having told everybody that this is a must watch and attracted the biggest audience that they've ever had, they then try to make sure that that audience remains engaged, gets excited by the product, so that they retain that audience. They keep people watching. That makes the show become more valuable. the advertising associated to the show. Oh, it's more valuable because more eyes are on the adverts, more eyes are on the brands that advertise in that space. That adds all more value to the show. How do you do that? Oh, you continue to make it exciting throughout. Oh, what's happening now? Has he done something wrong? Has he got to give that place back? Has he got to give that place back? Has he got to give that place back? Oh no, what now? It's the tyre changes. Oh, one's done it and the next lap it's another car that's done it. Now, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen now? What's going to happen now? Oh no, it's Perez. He's doing the defensive driving. An amazing job for the teammate. Oh, what's happening now? What's happening now? What's happening now? Oh, virtual safety car. What's happening now? What's happening now? What's happening now? Oh, Nicholas Latifi has crashed. What's happening now? What's happening now? We think they're going to start. Oh, it's a last lap shootout. Woo! Make some billions, you know. Make some billions when you keep the kiddies excited like that. That's the way it actually works. That's what's happening now.
To cost Lewis a massive 7 seconds. Entering turn 6, Hamilton passed.
But you give us an analysis of that, because that's valuable, isn't it? I told you this is all bullshit. This is construct. But you like to do. Let's do an actual analysis using our motor racing brains of whether Lewis was right in the lines that he took when he was then competing against Perez here. No. What we're doing, we're evaluating bullshit that's been constructed.
Perez, but then returned to the racing line, opening a gap for Perez again. I can say that Hamilton still didn't expect a counterattack here. However, even if Perez attacked, I think
I think he wasn't expecting an attack or a counterattack. I think. It doesn't matter what you think, dickhead.
Hamilton did the right thing because by entering the chicane from the outside, he had a better exit onto the straight. He could have also taken DRS to pass him back. But Perez made a brilliant move. He lifted off at the DRS detection line, becoming the one to get the DRS. Since Lewis left a huge gap on his left side on the straight, Perez dove in. He had no chance of passing around the outside of turn 9 with those old tires. But because Lewis left the inside open, Perez stayed within the track limits. Everything was compliant with the regulations. As Max said on the radio, Checo is a legend.
So you're able to determine it. It's all compliant with the regulations, but you weren't able to identify it as choreographed. You weren't able to identify that who put Lewis Hamilton in that situation. Should they have put him in that situation? Was there need to put him in that situation? That it was on medium tyres and they threw away 10 laps worth of use. And had he have kept out until the 25th lap, could Perez have been out on his soft compound tyres on lap 25, able to perform that same role? Hamilton was how many seconds ahead of Perez at the time he pitted? You keep running for another 10 laps. How far would Hamilton have been ahead of Perez at that point in time? How did they create that situation? Was it entirely unnecessary? Yes. It's all part of the show, you see. But you didn't identify that.
Despite the virtual safety car period and Max...
The virtual safety car period, have you gone through what Antonio Giovinazzi did? Where his engine failed? Where he then trundled along and parked his car? Could he have actually pulled into an area of track where no safety car, no virtual safety car would have been necessary because he just pulled off into a safe area? Yeah, he passed a couple of places where he could have easily pulled. He could have easily parked by a gap where he just gone straight in. He could have driven into a gap. But no, it had to be there. It had to take the amount of time that it took for marshals to go there and have to push it. It had to be sufficient time to say, oh, this needs dealing with a virtual safety car. And that virtual safety car needs to be able to be lasting long enough for somebody to pit and get back out on track, still under virtual safety car. Not the virtual safety car end whilst they're in the pits, because then they're losing more time. But you couldn't identify that either, could you?
Having tires that were 20 laps fresher, the fact that he couldn't close the gap to Lewis was purely down to Lewis's extraordinary driving.
We've got Lewis with a trophy here. This is not Abu Dhabi 2021, is it?
You have likely heard or known everything I've said up to this point from many sources.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? So all you're doing yourself is regurgitating the same shit from elsewhere. And you think you're telling history. You've not been able to evaluate the information that you've been fed and determine its validity, have you? It's because you don't know, it's because you're ignorant, and yet you feel confident enough to broadcast your ignorance to the world. That's fucking damaging.
Until Latifi crashed his car into the wall, everyone agreed on one.
Until Latifi crashed his car into the wall. Now, have you gone through Latifi's onboards? The lap before, where his race engineer goes, must be this lap, Nicholas. Go and have a look. Look at his onboards. Has to be this lap, Nicholas. And then he does his little fake dance off with Mick Schumacher, where who leaves him the door open? Who leaves all the space open? Oh, that's Mick Schumacher. Rather bizarre, that is. And then as he comes round turn 14, when normally he and every other driver uses fourth gear to go round turn 14, and then on exit of turn 14, they feed the throttle in, building the revs out on exit, which is how you corner. No, Latifi put his car in third gear and floored the accelerator. Now, if you're driving a rear-wheel drive car and you drop a gear and floor the accelerator while you've got a steering angle on, think what happens to the back end of your car. Well, that's what happened to Latifi's car. Oh no, Nicholas Latifi has crashed. You couldn't make it up, could you? Unless you did do it on purpose.
Thing, Lewis was winning the race on merit. But this is exactly where things.
Do you remember Crashgate 2008 where PK crashed on purpose? Yeah, because he knew how to crash his car on purpose. Yeah, and that then set up a safety car situation which benefited a certain driver. Yeah, you couldn't make it up, could you? Or could you? Because they did.
Get messy. Some people know the facts but refuse to say them, trying to mislead others by saying, if Mercedes had pitted Hamilton, Max wouldn't have pitted. And if the race finished under the safety car, Max would have won.
So, this video here, YouTubers who are shit will disprove all that you're about to say now. We'll go through what you say, but you need to. I'm not going to do the explanation on this video. You'll have to watch that video for it, which will evidence how long it actually takes to get in and out of those pits and return to track.
So Mercedes did the right thing by not pitting Hamilton. This is not true. When Latifi crashed, the gap between Lewis and Max was 12 seconds. However, Lewis was physically behind Latifi on the.
So here, what you're not looking at is this gap between Lando Norris and Pierre Gasly, 11.2 seconds. All right. Now, what's going to happen is Perez is going to disappear out of the running order. What that does, that guarantees the constructors' title to Mercedes. Mercedes went into that race with a 28-point margin. They're leading the championship by 28 points. Even if Max Verstappen won the race and got the fastest lap, that could only achieve 26 points. They're still behind Mercedes, even if Mercedes then their two cars retired from the race. Red Bull with only one finisher can only get 26 points. Mercedes still win the championship. So the moment you retire Perez, you throw away any chance for Red Bull of overturning that 28-point deficit. As it is, in that safety car situation, Red Bull have got second and third. Both of them are now on fresh soft compound tyres when they both pit. They're on course for 18 plus maybe fast. Well, I don't think at that stage you've got fastest lap. And then 15. Now imagine Hamilton has suffered a mechanical failure and had to retire. Maybe he got a puncture and that then put him out of the race. That elevates Verstappen to first. Elevates Perez to second. 25 plus fastest lap perhaps, because he's a remaining finisher. Let's say Hamilton had the fastest lap, but he doesn't finish, so he doesn't get that point. So therefore, the fastest lap of a finishing car would be Verstappen, surely. I don't know if they work it like that, but even so. 25 points. Perez 18. but let's just say he's got the fastest lap as well. That's 44 points collectively between those two finishers. That now puts them 16 points ahead, having been 28 points behind. Bottas gets elevated to fourth. He only gets 12 points. Red Bull win the Constructors' Championship. You retire Perez, you took that away. That's rather strange, especially when Checo, we need to retire the car. We need to retire the car. Box. Really? Yeah, because Checo doesn't realise that there's a problem with his car. Usually when you're driving a car, you realise if there's a problem with it. Checo didn't. Now, what that did, that elevated everybody up a place. That elevated Norris from 8th to 7th and Gasly from 7th to 6th. But when the safety car got deployed to deal with, oh no, Nicholas Latifi has crashed. What happened is Hamilton was between Norris and Gasly at that stage. I mean, previously he wasn't because Norris was running in fourth till the point in time where Lando, Lando, Lando. It's a slow puncture for Lando here. Even though the lap before his race engineer told him to push, push, push. Push as hard as you can. We know you've got a slow puncture, but go as fast as you can on a dodgy tyre, and then we'll get you. He doesn't tell him that. Push, push, push. Now box, box, box. Oh, it's a slow puncture. Really? Really? All part of the narrative. Lando, Lando, Lando. So, Crofty, are we in for another tyre twist? Yeah, yes, we are. It's funny how they signpost everything in the drama, in the script. So they get elevated all the position, but Hamilton is now in between these, with Norris having re-emerged back onto track behind Ocon, behind Alonso, who on his fresher tyres he's overtook. Now he's behind Hamilton, but he's now trying to chase down Pierre Gasly and regain Gasly's position. And Gasly's only 2.6 seconds behind Tsunoda, so maybe Norris can overtake Gasly. Maybe Norris can overtake Tsunoda. This is what Norris's ambition is, as he's got every right in that race to challenge those cars. But no, Lewis Hamilton is between here and now. Safety cars now ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Gasly disappears off around the track and joins the end of the safety car snake, just like all these cars here. They all disappear off and join this bunch because Hamilton's here, and everybody then bunches up behind. Norris is behind Hamilton. Gasly's now at the end of the safety car snake, essentially a lap ahead of Norris. You cannot allow the deployment of a safety car to impact Norris's race like that and essentially make Norris lose a lap on Gasly when he is only 11.2 seconds behind him. Did you understand that? Oh, it's just to get him out of the way of the race between the leaders. No, it's not to get him out of the way of the race between the leaders. It's to restore sporting fairness to all competitors. If the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen gets wiped out, so that is now nothing, and then the gap should be that Perez is 30 seconds behind. Sorry, Sainz is 30 seconds behind Perez. We'll ignore Perez because Perez retires. But that wipes out to nothing. 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 Oh, that's now gone out to 1 minute 30 seconds. Everybody else has had their gaps wiped out. Lando's has had his increased to 1 minute 30 seconds. The regulations will never be applied so that causes that. Do you understand that? But of all the liars in your country, where you get maybe, is it Turkish language? You speak in Turkey? I don't know. Did they all tell you it's just to get them out of the way as well? Is that what they told you? Go back through. It's lies. This is a construct. This is narrative. Anyway, let's go and back to the video. Or is this yours? No, it is yours. Sorry, I thought I'd gone on to my F1 TV.
The track. After the cars slowed down, Lewis still hadn't reached the pits, meaning Mercedes had time to think and prepare the pit crew. By the time Lewis reached the pit entry,
They had time to think and time to calculate. Yeah, they can calculate. Can we get him in and back out on track and retain the lead if Red Bull don't pit? and they made the correct calculation. If Red Bull hadn't have pitted, then they would have lost track position, as demonstrated in part 1. But you are wrong. You go on to say this.
The gap to Max had mathematically extended to about 20 seconds because the car's speeds had dropped. Lewis was at the pit entry while Max was stuck in traffic.
It's not mathematically extended. It's just quite simply the speed that you travel out to cover a certain distance will mean the time it takes to cover that certain distance will vary. If you've got a mile to cover and you're travelling at 60 miles per hour, then you will cover that mile in 1 minute. If you are travelling at 120 miles per hour, you will cover that same mile in 30 seconds. So if these cars have slowed down significantly, then it will take them longer to cover the same distance. That's all it is, and that's why this time is a longer time. Okay, we don't have to use the term mathematically.
The physical distance remained the same, but because the speeds dropped, the time gap increased. In Abu Dhabi, the normal time lost in the pits is 20 seconds, but under a safety car, because the cars on track are driving slowly, this loss drops significantly to about 14 seconds.
Check out my video, it demonstrates the time that you lose from entering you go over the first white safety car line for the pit entrance, the pit lane entrance, through to the where you rejoin the track where there's the line which designates the pit lane exit line. Remember the time that it takes you when you are going into the pits and the time it takes to get from that position to the end position, and you've got to compare that with when you remain on track to go from that position to that equivalent position on track. And you'll see exactly what happens.
So, the time Lewis would lose in the pits would have been around 14 seconds. Unless there was an issue with the pit crew, there was
So you've swallowed that information without verifying it. Go and verify it in part 1, because it's not verified.
still a safe buffer of about 6 seconds.
But you've regurgitated something to try and demonstrate to the world this is somehow proof of what it is you want to tell people as the correct version of history. This is your bullshit, and this is why your information is so damaging.
In other words, in the best case scenario, even if Max didn't pit, Lewis would have come out 6 seconds ahead of him on fresh tires and would have been leading the race.
Absolute bollocks. Absolute bollocks. Go and check out part 1.
In response, Red Bull would likely have pitted Max again, but it wouldn't have mattered.
You tell us what you think. You tell us what you think may or may not have happened based on your valuable opinion, yeah? That's useful. And your accurate version of history.
Despite his 22-lap-old tires in the safety car, Lewis had brought the race to a point where he could have taken a free pit stop, put on new tires, and emerged as the leader to win.
Bollocks. Again, this is supposedly your accurate version of history, and it's bollocks. Okay, now if you're not familiar with the English terminology that I'm using, we use the term bollocks to say that you're talking absolute rubbish. Okay, talking tripe, disinforming people, speaking mistruths.
But Mercedes threw this race away, and that was a massive error. However, they
Mercedes did throw the race away. They were complicit with this. Mercedes were complicit. Think of the strategy that they adopted. They got rid of those medium compound tyres to set up that drama, putting Hamilton behind Perez, thrown away any potential advantage, thrown away any potential of making gains had there been a virtual safety car on that track to enable them to get a cheaper pit stop during that phase of the race, making Hamilton be in this situation where he was slowed down by Perez, creating the drama, not pitting under virtual safety car where they could have been the ones to get on the fresher compound of tyres. That would have put Lewis behind Max, but then he'd have had the tyre advantage. Didn't do any of that. Then they did do the appeal half-heartedly. Toto Wolff didn't go into that appeal. Instead, put in the facade of saying, instead of me, I'm sending a legal expert. And if the legal expert can't understand it, then nobody can. Yeah, legally, there's nothing we can do. And then when they had the chance of appealing again, they didn't. But funnily enough, that Mercedes team is worth billions more now, just like every other team is worth billions more. You see, back in 2022, Sir Jim Radcliffe, Ineos Chemicals Company, great British gentleman, yeah, he's living in Monaco now where he doesn't pay tax to us. But he doesn't like the immigrants. He doesn't like all these foreigners coming over here and yeah, polluting our great whiteness. He doesn't like that, does Sir Jim? Like he's got his opinion. He bought a third of the Mercedes team for 200 million back in 2022, and now, if you've bought a third of something for 200 million, you'd say the whole thing is worth 600. Now it's worth 4.6 billion. Incredible that is. Yeah. What's caused that? Oh, you excite the kiddies, and that's worth a lot of money. Yeah. If you abuse the kiddies, yeah, it causes billions to make billions. You see how this world works, everybody. See how the world works.
They had a perfect excuse to cover up this mistake. The FIA stole Hamilton's championship.
It was all a construct. You see, who stole it, who constructed it, was the billionaires. You've got Liberty Media, the owners of the show, started the 2021 season with a value of $9 billion, ended the season with a value of $13.8 billion. Where do you magic up $4.8 billion? Oh, you excite the kiddies, don't you? Go and ask Jeff. Jeff will tell you how to manipulate things to make more billions. And what you do, you arouse the kiddies. Yeah, that's what you do. You exploit, you abuse. Yeah, because they're disposable, but not whilst you're exploiting them. So that's how it works. You get corrupt entities manufacturing things, doing it their way by design, not exposed by the media. Strange that, isn't it? Mercedes being complicit because they benefit as well. And if you're there making money out of it, you just go along with it, don't you? Yeah, you're happy to be part of it if it makes you money. Not a problem. Not a problem.
We all saw this. But because the live broadcast didn't show the real-time gaps during the safety car, everyone assumed the gap.
It's funny that the live broadcast didn't show us much at all, did it? Oh no! What's going to happen now? There's bound to be a couple. There's bound to be a couple of racing laps. And that's when Max's much fresher tyres will fire up on any kind of restart. Oh shit, the car's caught fire. Oh, now what? Will they let the lap runners through? I'm not sure it's mandatory, but that's normally on a wet day in Belgium where they don't. And if they do, how long will they wait? You see the manipulation? The different explanation that's not allowed because you can't restart the race with Lando Norris being left a minute 30 seconds behind Pierre Gasly. You can't do it like that. It's not in the regulations. Them regulations are there for a purpose. Oh, but will they do that? We don't know. Well, why are you presenting that's an option? Because it's not an option. Well, what jeopardy? Will they let the lap runners through? I'm not sure it's mandatory. But like I say, that's normally on a wet day. And I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap. And there will be one racing lap. And they're now telling us that the lapped cars between Lewis and Max, and so Norris, Alonso, Ocon, Leclerc, and Vettel, and it's ending, and it's ending. Wow! 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 Michael! It's amazing that they've got Toto already queued up with his with his dismay, with his outrage. And it's ending. Wow, Michael! It's amazing, isn't it? How you can just fuse all this together smoothly as you construct the show to show everybody. Did you realise that that's how they were fucking you? Or do you just want to become a YouTuber and tell everybody what you think on YouTube and help everybody understand history? Is that what you're doing? You're helping everybody understand history with your valuable insight. Because your valuable insight is not very valuable, but it could be valuable. You see, it could be valuable, and what it could be valuable is you could go back and you could then evidence the version of events that was presented to you. So whatever version of language you witnessed the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix or you have access to the recordings of, if it's in a different language to English, or if the commentators are different to what we get over in the UK, which we get Martin Brundle and David Croft, or we get Alex Brundle, Martin's son, and it could be Alex Jakes or whoever else they present or they throw at us from F1 TV. If you get different commentators to that, it'd be interesting to see what you were being told, what information you were being fed. Because if it's the same lies, the same bullshit in every language, what does that demonstrate? Is that conspiracy theory, or are they all conspiring to lie to us, to abuse us, fulfilling the same narrative? Because that's what really is going on. How can they all get it all wrong? That they've acknowledged, oh, we now realise it's wrong. But how come you all didn't realise at the time it was wrong? Not a single one of you. Not a single one of you. All excited. So if you can actually post a video of that, that would be extremely useful. That would help. That would help set the record straight in history. Post a recording with English subtitles so we get a full understanding of what is being said in the language that you heard this event in. Hopefully there is a different language version, and hopefully this is what people can do. Post recordings online with subtitles of the version of this race that you heard with what the commentary is. And let's get all the evidence together of all the different languages that this was broadcast in and what was being said by all of these commentators contracted by the billionaires to lie and abuse the world with their lies. And let's see. Let's compare them all. Let's get the evidence together. That could be an important job for you. And maybe, if you are based in Turkey, as your profile says, you can access a different audience, because my channel's not going to go very far. My channel's restricted. Maybe you can get the truth out and play an important role to the people where your videos will be broadcast to. So, let's turn this into something positive. I'm going to continue destroying what else you have to say, because you need to understand the truth of the situation.
App was fixed at 12 seconds. Perhaps Mercedes made this decision fearing a problem during the pit stop. There can be no other explanation, because the Mercedes pit crew was already out and waiting for Lewis.
And what you'll see here is the tyres that they've got waiting are mediums. Now you'd think if you'd only got to do 1 lap or 2 laps on a light fuel load, you start a race on a full fuel load, medium compound tyre, well, that's one thing. If you've only got to do 1 lap on a low fuel load, still you'd think soft compounds are the one to go for. They've still got mediums. And that bit's a bit strange there as well. But that's all part of the facade. You've got to put on the show pretending that you're doing something. All right? It's all part of a facade.
Latifi's car was in a spot that was quite easy to clear, but the fire in
It's funny that, isn't it? It's funny the way that Giovinazzi's car was in a spot which required a certain time to clear it up. All right, he could have just driven off the track. As he's gone from turn six, his car failed at turn six, right? So he cut the chicane as well. And then he just drove down there. There was a side road he could have pulled into and driven well away, and there wouldn't have been a problem. When he got down to turn 9, he could have just stayed far right and driven into a gap. No, he went around the curve and parked it in an area where it needed to be pushed back a significant distance. Didn't need to do any of that, but he did. Now, Nicholas Latifi has crashed. Oh, where Kimi practiced crashing in practice. See, let's work out this. Where would be a good place that's we can. It obviously needs a safety car deployed there, but then we need to make sure we can clear it to make sure we manufacture a last racing lap so that the World Championship can be settled on the last lap of the last Grand Prix of the season. Wow, you couldn't make it up unless you make it up. But the bit you couldn't make up was the car catching fire, and that is what fucked it for them. And because it caught fire, that prolonged the clear-up operation. It added in the time taken to put the fire out with the fire extinguisher, and then that meant that the track was now covered in powder, making the surface of the track dangerous, which had to be swept. The combination of the two probably added about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes to that clear-up operation. What does one lap of that track take behind the safety car? Oh, about 2.5 minutes. Oh, so it extended that safety car period by a lap. Oh, were it not for that, they'd have been able to set up that last lap legally, if you ignore the fact that they contrived the crash. They wouldn't have had to break the regulation, would they? Oh, there's no smoke without fire.
The car prolonged the process. Everyone said the race would finish behind the safety car, but no matter what, leaving their driver defenseless, even if for just one racing lap, was unacceptable.
Everybody says it should be able to finish. We should finish behind the safety car. Yeah. So what you talking about? If it finishes behind the safety car, which is now what should happen, you're leaving your driver defenseless. Well, you're putting in a position where it is this. You, on average, and you can go back through my videos, on average, it's 5.5 laps it takes of racing. 5.5 laps are taken out of a Grand Prix to deal with a similar sort of incident. That's the average. Now, that average can be at some tracks it takes longer, at some tracks it takes less. So it could have been 4.5 laps. There were only 5.4 laps of the race remaining for Hamilton when Latifi crashed. So the average would say, well, it's a safety car finish. Because it should have been an easy clear up, they might have got it cleared up and the regulation carried out in 4.5 laps, leaving only that one lap. And there was no alternative. And with that being the case, with it being touch and go, with the data saying it's 5.5, Mercedes didn't want to risk, so they couldn't, but Red Bull could. And that all adds into the narrative, doesn't it? That all adds into the reasoning and the explanation. So it's not a fix, it's just circumstance. Yeah, it's just the way it was, just the way the cookie crumbles. It's Red Bull playing some clever cards. This is all the bullshit, yeah? But Mercedes have made a decision that you can't pit and maintain track position, and on the chance that it's going to be a safety car finish, then you don't throw away track position. You've thrown away the race win if you do. When it turns out it had to be a safety car finish, this notion you're presenting is bullshit.
Leaving their driver defenseless, even if for just one racing lap, was unacceptable.
Well, you don't need to defend. If it's a safety car finish, you don't need to defend. So it doesn't matter what tyres are on. It makes no difference what compound of tyre you're on when you're behind a safety car and it's a safety car finish. Because you're not racing. There's no performance advantage of anything. You could be leading that race in a Lada, right? You could have a Lada, and behind you could be a Bugatti, but you're in a safety car situation, and you win in the Lada, right? That's the way it works. because nobody can overtake. That's now the finishing position. That's the way it is. Unlucky. Yeah, but my car will do 300 mile an hour. Unlucky. That's the end of the race now. We just proceed across the finishing line like that. Yeah, but unlucky. Unlucky.
Then, things went south. On lap 56, it was said that lapped cars would not be allowed to overtake.
It's said that lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. You see, that is not a regulation. It's a defunct. It's just not a thing. In the regulations, it says overtaking will not be permitted. Right? If the clerk of the course determines it's not safe, the message will be given: overtaking will not be permitted. Right? Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. It's not in the regulations at all, and there's a reason. Because it's a ambiguous communication and it's not valid. It's not in the regulations. Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. What does that mean? If I'm not lapped, am I allowed to overtake somebody? Doesn't say that, does it? Doesn't say that. Are lapped cars allowed to overtake each other? Are they still allowed to race each other? Or are they just like, well, our race is over now. We're just not allowed to overtake. We've just got to sit here. We just sit here. Nothing we can do. We can't even race each other because we're not allowed to overtake. Who are we allowed to overtake? Nobody. Not the lead cars, not each other, because we're just nothing. We've been eliminated now. Is that right? No, it's not, is it? See, it's bullshit. It's quite simple. Is once you've deployed the safety car, you've deployed the safety car because the track isn't safe. Track is not safe. We need to deploy the safety car to make it safe. That's it. Once the clerk of the course declares it safe, he hands back to race control to then carry out this mandatory procedure prior to the resumption of racing. At the point in time where the notification lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake was, I'll show you, and let's see if it corresponds with the version that you've got. If we go across to here, and we'll go over to F1 TV, we need to go forward to lap 56. Is it here? Where are they on track of you?
Overtake.
Here we go, back a little bit. A little bit more, I think. We'll just go, well, let's play it through. Let's listen to it. We're on lap 56.
Really? Yeah, box.
And lap.
We need to retire the car. Really? And lap, see the distraction. Is this Max retiring now? It's Checo Perez. We need to retire the car. Really? See, it keeps disorientating you. What's going on now? What's going on now? It's exciting. What's happening now? It's Formula One. What's happening now?
Cars will not be allowed to overtake.
Unlapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. Why is that then? Well, that would be because, oh no, Nicholas Latifi. There he is. He's having his car lifted. And let's have a look. Let's have a look. Here's the marshal. There's Boldy there. And lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. Oh, why is that? It's because there's lads in orange overalls on the track there sweeping it up. The track is not safe. Now, the regulations are once the clerk of the course has declared the track safe, which he clearly can't do yet, and the message is then given to all the teams and drivers. Cars which have been lapped, which meet the qualifying criteria, then will be told to pass the leader in the safety car and proceed around the track at an appropriate speed without overtaking, making every effort to rejoin the back of that safety car snake. And what does that achieve? Well, that achieves a line of cars in the correct race order, first, second, third, down to the last remaining competitor, all lined up in a row with all of the previously built up advantages wiped out between all competitors. That is your start condition. That is your restart condition. If you have to neutralise a race to deal with a safety incident, it wipes out what's gone before it. The overtakes that you've made, they hold. But any gaps, advantages that you've been built up between competitors, they get wiped out. And you now have to reset everything to a line of cars where everybody is one behind the other in the correct race order. And once we've achieved that, off we go. But they don't tell you that. No, we've got to excite the kiddies. Safety car. Now what? Whoa, what's going to happen now? Anything can happen. Whoa, it's Formula One. Whoa, is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? Whoa, it's Formula One. Oh, is it going to be this? Is it? Oh, it's Formula One. That excites the children. That disorientates people. People don't know. That's an abuse. That's an exploitation that people don't know. Because it's the billionaires that are telling you whether or not it's an abuse, whether or not it's okay or not. And it's okay for them because they're making money out of it. And they're mind conditioning you. And you didn't understand that. Because you're a victim of their abuse. You're a victim of their mind control. You're a victim of the rape of the mind of each and every one of us by what it is that they perpetrated, by their fraud, by them defrauding us. That's how it works. So as you can see, they're still sweeping the track. What do they play us? Unlapped cars will not be allowed to
At the end of this race, as it stands at the moment, assuming that Hamilton and Bottas finish this race, the Drivers' Championship, though, is very much up for grabs.
Doesn't mean that at all.
The lapped cars won't be allowed to overtake, which means that there are plenty of cars in between Hamilton and Verstappen for Verstappen to fight his way through.
Doesn't mean that at all. It means now Norris here. Where's Gasly? Oh, there's Gasly. Norris has now been left almost an entire lap behind Gasly. That can't happen. Which means they'll all get blue flags and Max has to fight his way through them 5. Oh, that's not very nice for Max, is it? That's not very nice. Let's feel sorry for Max, is the narrative they create.
Norris, Alonso, and also Ocon and Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel. None of which are for position, of course.
Yeah, 7th place now. He's listed as 8th there because Perez has been retired. But it'd be 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. None of them are for position, of course. No, clearly not, Martin. None of them are for position. No, they are. Okay, because 7th wants to be trying to chase 6th and maybe 5th. And they're all like 7th, 8th, 9th. They're all trying to get World Championship points. None of them are for position. They don't matter. Yeah. All those people trafficked to Epstein's Island, they didn't matter either. The billionaire, they're just disposable. None of them are for position, are they, Martin?
No. They're obliged to get out of the way, but Lewis will be long down the road.
That I suppose, is the compromise that...
Yeah, this is the compromise, isn't it? This is the compromise. I suppose this is the compromise. I suppose this is the reason why race control is breaking the rules of the sport.
Race control have made here by giving the best possible chance for racing to the finish rather than...
By giving the best chance of arousing the children, they're going to break the rules. By giving the best chance of allowing the billionaires to exploit the children, they're breaking the rules. That's the reality of it.
Finishing behind the safety car, they've decided the lap cars will stay where they are.
Cancel that. Lap cars will not be allowed to overtake.
The chosen message by the broadcaster, F1 TV. Israel Verstappen once again is the victim. Cancel that. Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake.
Yeah, of course. Typical decision.
It's classic.
I'm not surprised.
Poor Poor Israel Verstappen, he's the victim again. I mean, that message took place from here, turn 5, down to turn 6. Took about 20 seconds real time. You can go to Max's onboards, you can go and listen to it yourself. They choose that message, they take out some of the gaps, they condense it down to 12 seconds, and then they play it to the world because Israel Verstappen is once again the victim.
Well, I'll try and look at this objectively.
But we'll be objective about it.
We should get 1 lap of racing here.
No, well, that's not in the rules, Crofty. I mean, why is that the objective version? I mean, let's have a look. Let's rather than track of you, let's have a look what's going on.
Of racing.
Oh, we're praying to the racing gods.
To the checkered flag. So
there it is. We're praying to the racing gods.
So what do Red Bull want?
What do Red Bull want? Well, let's not worry about what Red Bull want. Let's worry about these lads here in the orange overalls that are still on the track, and the track's therefore not safe.
And Max Verstappen and
what does Max Verstappen and his race engineer Giampiero Lambiase want? What do they want? What does Israel Verstappen want?
Giampiero Lambiase is race engineer.
What do they want?
Want the chance?
Do they want the chance?
Or do they want to finish behind the safety car?
Or do they want to finish behind the safety? What would you like, Israel Verstappen? Because they decide, don't they? They decide everything, and they obviously have got enough leverage over everybody for them to decide. Let's have a look.
Lambiase is race engineer. Do they want the chance, or do they want to finish behind the safety car with no overtaking? Because I think that is the decision that has come from race control.
And now, having just seen those marshals departing the track, and it's only then that really race control can then radio all the other marshalling sectors around the track and go, are we all good? We all good? We all good? Yeah, all good. Right, I can now contact Michael Massey and say the track is now safe. You can now give the instruction to all those teams that we're now going to complete the unlapping procedure. But it's irrelevant now because you're going to release them on lap 57, and the regulation is that they get the remainder of the lap that they're released on, plus 1 further lap of that safety car for them to be given the opportunity to make it around that track, catch up with the back of the safety car snake, restoring sport in fairness to all competitors prior to racing, the resumption of racing. But we've only got 2 laps. That process is going to take 2 laps. It's going to take the lap upon which they're released plus that additional lap. They're the 2 laps. This is a safety car finish. We know at this moment in time, with that process not enacted, that this is a safety car finish. But what do Israel want?
And personally, this is the decision that gives them the best chance if they want it.
Yeah, I mean,
if they want that chance.
The regulation, as I said, they may allow the lap.
The regulation is they may disregard the chance of Norris relative to Gasly. They may. No, that's wrong, Martin.
Cars through. It's not mandatory, to point it out, but as you point out, Crofty, there'd be no racing laps if they let the lap cars through.
But there'd be no arousing the children if we obeyed the rules. So what do Red Bull want?
Because I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, and there will be 1 racing lap.
You think they're going to break the rules? Oh, we've had the fire. This has fucked up the plan. So how are we going to respond to this? How are we going to now manufacture that arousing lap for the children? You know, that planned last lap shootout between the 2 title contenders to give the best ever finish to an F1 World Championship to maintain the viewers of future generations for the show. And the billions to the billionaires. How are we going to manufacture that? Oh, well, what we need to do, we need to give Christian a new script.
They'll all get blue flags, I would
They'll all get blue flags. Yeah, keep lying, Crofty.
imagine.
Now, if you're not a professional actor, then, sometimes you'll fluff your lines.
Michael?
Yes, go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, why aren't we getting these...
He's fucked it.
Lap cars out of the way.
Just give me... Well, because Christian, just...
This is what you get when you pay amateurs. This is what it is. Anyway, let's go back to this valuable insight.
Then just 1 lap later, on lap 57, the message came that lapped cars between Max and Lewis will overtake, and in the same lap, the safety car was called in. I won't get into the legal system here. I am not a lawyer.
You don't need to be a lawyer, love, okay? You just need to understand what's actually going on here. We're all being lied to. There is a requirement that that procedure takes place. The moment the race director chooses to intervene in a race by deploying the safety car, then he becomes bound by those regulations that apply to the deployment of that safety car. If cars haven't been lapped in a race, the minimum requirement is that that safety car has to remain on track at least until the leader is behind the safety car and every other car is lined up behind that leader. That results in a snake of cars in the correct race order, first down to the last running competitor, correct race order, all of the gaps that had been built up between all the competitors wiped out. And all 48.12 did was achieve exactly the same thing, but at a stage of the race where cars had become lapped. That's all it is. The moment you intervene in a race with a safety car, racing's become neutralised. Racing's neutralised, people catch each other. Everybody catches each other, not just one or two, because then people benefit asymmetrically from that situation. That's not okay. That's not okay. Everybody's aware this is how we compete. If something happens, this is what happens. In some races, you might lose out because you could be the lead car and you've lost your lead. But that's balanced out by in other races, you might be in second place and have then gained all that ground on the leader who you were behind. But they're the rules. This is what everybody understands is what happens due to having to deal with one of these incidents. Deal with it. Providing you accept that that's how we deal with these incidents, this is how we compete. They're the rules. They're what we all abide by. They're what we all accept as being an acceptable way of going about this. But the billionaires, rules don't apply to them. And then they get their lawyers to try and argue the rules, to absolve them of consequence for breaking the rules. And then we get legal argument that lasts for 4 years, and the lawyers cream millions. And then the judge will have to decide on the value of those legal arguments. See the construct, it's all bullshit to absolve perpetrators of consequence for their crime if they sit at a certain level. You see, what law is there? It's for the protection of power. The protection of power. Legal. You wouldn't understand it. It's too complicated for you. Don't you worry about that. It's to prevent the peasants from challenging power, is what legal is.
But this decision felt wrong to most F1 fans.
Yeah, it feels wrong, but you're not a lawyer, so you won't understand it. That's how they want to condition your mind.
Latifi's car was removed on lap 55, and the track was completely clear by lap 56.
Well, as I've demonstrated, and you can go and check for yourself, the marshals are still jumping over the barriers as that safety car snake is passing that incident at lap 56. The clerk of the course would still need to check the barriers. It still needs to radio all the marshalling sectors around that track to check that the track was clear and safe. It has still had to radio back to race control. Race control would then have had to radio all the teams, and the teams then instruct their drivers that this process was going to happen. We're now at turn 14. There's 15, you got 16, and then you're on to the start finish straight new lap. That doesn't happen in that length of time. The eighth of those lapped cars will not have passed the leader in the safety car prior to them commencing lap 57. This simply does not happen. That procedure can only be enacted whilst they're on lap 57, which means the safety car returns to the pits at the end of the following lap. That is categorically a safety car finish. But they set it up to excite the children, didn't they? To enable the billionaires to exploit.
We saw the safety car passing by, and the lapped cars should have been let through. At this moment, we heard both Alonso and Vettel rebelling against this in their radio messages. This decision seemed to purely benefit Max.
We heard Alonso. Listen to this.
Would have been let through. At this moment, we heard both Alonso and Vettel rebelling against this in their radio.
No, you didn't hear that, you see. You didn't hear that. What you heard was on lap 54, I believe it was, when they go round past that incident for the second time. They go through a cloud of fire extinguisher powder the second time, with Latifi's car clearly visible on the track, clearly not cleared away, and Alonso's going, we should be unlapping now to get this job done before it's too late. To get this job done. And then you get Vettel. Michael is messing this up. Michael is messing this up. Do you understand the nature of these messages? Do you understand that these drivers know what this plan is for a last lap shootout for the show to excite the kiddies? That's what's really happening. But the manner in which you hear it, the manner in which they play it to you, it's confusing. Nobody knows. They know that this is not right, is how it's presented to you. But the reality is, they know what the master plan is, and they know that it's not going to pass the eye test to some. That's what the real problem is.
Radio messages. This decision seemed to purely benefit Max, but if
Funny that, isn't it? Funny that. But it was exciting for the kiddies.
the correct decisions had been made on time, the final lap would have been raced regardless.
What do you mean the correct decisions have been made on time? You're talking shit. You cannot declare the track safe until the track is declared safe. The car catching fire prolonged that operation. Nothing you can do about it. You can't remove that car whilst it's on fire. You have to deal with the fire. Dealing with the fire added 2.5 minutes to the clear up. That took it to the end of lap 56, meaning you can't commence the unlapping procedure till you're on lap 57. That dictates it's a safety car finish. That's what it is. But then they broke the rules to manufacture the excitement. But they'd planned to do that anyway, but just without having to break the rules.
And the final lap. Lewis's positioning at turn 5.
But now we go into the analysis of what you think the drivers were capable of doing, and that's irrelevant. So you can keep your bullshit analysis of the drivers and their techniques and their thought processes and what it is they're feeling they're capable of doing based on, when you're a driver of a car that's doing 200 miles an hour and only you can feel the grip levels of your car that you are experiencing at that moment in time, and therefore making the physical inputs that you need to make to retain control of your vehicle, which only the driver of that car knows and is the expert of. What you think about it is fucking irrelevant. And I would say the person that is best placed to make those assessments would be the guy that is an 8-time world champion and a winner of in excess of 100 Grand Prix. I would say he's the foremost expert in the world at knowing the capabilities of his car and his inputs and his ability to keep that car on track, going as fast as it can go. So whatever you think and however you want to critique that is fucking irrelevant. So shut the fuck up. Do something useful and make a video with the language commentary that can assist. And that video that you've made, scrap the fucker. It's going to do nothing but damage. Thank you all for your time. This is global corruption. Everything follows the same model. We're all being exploited by the billionaire class who think they're above the rules, above the law, because they are above the law. Just like, as the FBI arrested all the people that are guilty of crimes, as evidenced by these files, as the police, the law enforcement agencies, have they arrested everybody that's been party to that? You know, these pedophile rings where they arrest people for sharing and having illicit material, images of children, sexualized images of children. Yeah, that's a crime. People get arrested for that. They go to prison for that. There's clearly the exchange of that, evidence of the exchange of that in these Epstein files. Have you arrested those perpetrators? Oh no, we're just hanging around. Nobody knows what to do. We're putting on these staged facades of the Senator Commission asking questions of Pam Bondi or what's being done about this. Nobody knows. Different rules for the billionaire, isn't it? Different laws for the billionaire. What's going on there? You see, if it was you, if you were distributing child pornography or if you were receiving child pornography, then it would be you that would be raided and you that would be arrested and locked up. Yeah, that would have already happened. The FBI has been in possession of these files for how long? Well, Epstein died in what, 2019? Was it? Well, they've been sitting on the information. Who's been arrested? What's the investigation? What's going on? What's going on? Different rules, isn't it? Different rules for everybody. But this is the construct of the world. It's the hidden power. It's the fake government. It's the owned mind conditioning machine to tell you, oh yes, it's just like this. This is how it is. It's just like this. It's just like this. The media. It's their systems of power. The stormtroopers, the policing, to punish you for protesting against power. It's not protect you from others, it's to protect power from you. And then we've got the court system that will find you guilty, but legally they've got a lawyer that can argue that they're not guilty. That's legal manipulation. Part of the construct of this world that's been pulled over our eyes. You've also got the financial system that they again use and abuse to put them at the top of it. Nobody will understand the financial system, but we'll make sure that you just are at a level where you're always kept in a position of struggle by restricting your access to it and keeping you in debt, a slave to having to continue to repay in that financial system. But they can just have as much as they want. They can print as much as they want for themselves. They can magic up numbers. Yes, I bought a third of this for £200 million. I'll now tell you it's all worth 4.6 billion, which my share is 1.533 billion. And it is that because I said it is. And I wouldn't sell it to anybody for anything less. So therefore that's what it's worth. Because I said so. And therefore, because I'm a billionaire, everybody should trust me. And if I want to make a business venture, what I'll do, I'll ask you to give me your money and we'll make a business together. And that would be good. And you might get some return on that. And I'm still a billionaire. Yeah. Just buy these magic beans, you gullible twat. Anyway, thanks for your time.